the future of HBO. So what they've decided, we saw before that they were going to do they had several spin-offs in development. They were being written by Brian Corrigan, Max Bornstein, Brian Hegland, and Carly Ray. The one that is going... Not Carly Rae Jepsen, I'm sorry. W-R-A-Y. And that last one is going to be co-written by George R.R. Martin. The only one that's been greenlit so far to pilot by HBO is the one coming from Goldman and George R.R. Martin. It looks like this is possibly going to be set 1,000 years prior to when we're looking at the time of when the White Walkers came about. I would say a time that I'm not particularly interested in.
I feel like you have to do it. The only other times you could potentially be interested in are like a few years before Game of Thrones.
Well, all I truly want is Robert's Rebellion, and I have seen in the press that they've said, or the HBO reps have said, oh, you will have no more questions about Robert's Rebellion after the final season. Right. I disagree. I think I will have plenty of questions.
How about this? You will have a lot fewer questions about Robert's Rebellion because they've kind of been weaving it into the, time-traveling three-eyed raven or whatever you want to call it scenes with Bran. So you will have a lot fewer questions. Now, that's why I think they need to go back 1,000 years to tell a related, but
it just makes me think of The Hobbit, which I didn't need to know any of that.
I feel like The Hobbit is closer to the Robert's Rebellion idea. I think we just need, like, a series or something to distance ourselves, at least in time, from Game of Thrones after it ends. So I'm fine focusing way, way back. We still have the world, but it's going to be different.
Nothing can be really affected. And I guess it wouldn't suffer from that kind of thing where you do a prequel and you know which characters will live and die because you've already seen what happens later.
Right. And eventually we'll come back and say, now it's time to do the Robert's Rebellion thing. And in addition to that, a bunch of stuff we made up that makes sense.
Probably. I mean, it doesn't really have a background. I mean, they did also talk at this addressing the Warner Media CEO John Stankey's reply that HBO would basically be pushing out more lower quality crap to be more like Netflix, to which Casey Bloys said, no, we're not doing that. Maybe we'll go in another direction. We haven't been talking about that at all, which is good to hear. I don't want two Netflixes. I want HBO to be its own thing and to make really high quality entertainment.
HBO spends $2 billion a year on content. Netflix suspected to spend $10 billion a year on content. I mean...
There's a lot more going on there, though.
There is a lot more going on.
There's a lot more series.
I like a higher budget that's more focused. HBO still pushes out duds, man.
Like what?
Like
Don't say
Westworld.
No, Westworld's a good show. They also address this saying the people who love it, and the people who dislike it still can't stop talking about it. That's
Lucky.
you.
Lucky.
I love that show. And
where the horses died?
What?
Lucky.
What are you talking
about?
about?
There was a show called Lucky.
No.
Luck.
I'm into
with
Westworld.
Dustin Hoffman, and the horses died, so
I
they
don't
canceled
know
it
that show. I'm fine. I'm also on board with no Lucky.